Welcome to Cayman Turtle Center.
A day of fun and adventure awaits at Cayman Turtle Center Island Wildlife Encounter. Swim and snorkel alongside sea turtles and other marine life. Meet tropical birds in the aviary, ride our turtle twister water slide, or simply relax by the lagoon. Plan your adventure today.
Visit us online at www.turtle.ky.
Looking for something fun and different to do with the family? Join us at the Cayman Turtle Center for Grill and Chill Saturdays. Every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., enjoy a poolside barbecue, buckets of beer and daiquiri specials, and a live DJ. It's Grill and Chill Saturdays at Cayman Turtle Center.
Good morning, listeners, and welcome to The Green Scene, hosted by the Cayman Turtle Conservation Education Center. My name is Geddes Hislop. I'm the curator for terrestrial exhibits and education programs at the Cayman Turtle Center. In the studio today, I am joined by our education programs officers, Ms. Wendy Dandy and Shauna McGill. In each episode of The Green Scene, we explore topics relating to conservation here in the Cayman Islands, including protecting our national environment, preserving our culture and heritage, and talking about things like sea turtles and other native wildlife and wild places. Today is our final episode of the second season of The Green Scene. And for this episode, we're going to give our listeners a brief summary of all the things that we discussed over the last 12 episodes since January. Also coming up this next month, April, we celebrate Earth Month in the Cayman Islands. And we're going to give you an idea of what Cayman Turtle Center and other organizations have planned to celebrate this special time of year. The first episode was on the turtle nesting season. We had our special guest, the park vet, Dr. Nabi Babalal, and she talked about the whole process that we do at the Turtle Center, from collecting the eggs right up to raising them up to Head Start turtles. That was pretty interesting, because some of it, even though we're in it all the time, sometimes it's good to hear somebody else's perspective, especially the person who's taking care of all these eggs.
Yeah, and we'll be getting started with that really soon. Wild turtle nesting season happens usually between May to October. So we should start seeing some turtle nesting activity getting started in the wild.
Yeah, and in our hatchery at the Turtle Center, when we started this episode in January, there were no eggs just yet. But now, today, the hatchery is starting to look full. Well, not quite full, but you can see start to see those rows of white boxes filled with eggs starting to fill up inside there. So the season is underway at the Turtle Center. It started very early. And yeah, like you said, Shauna, it should, theoretically, it should soon start in the wild too. Right. So the other episode we did was World Wetland Day. And we had a guest, Ms. Kathy Childs from the National Trust. And that was really interesting, because the one thing I remember from that, there was lots of cool stuff, because it talked about mangroves and importance of mangroves and all that kind of thing. But one of the things she mentioned when we talked about the importance of mangroves from a sociological, cultural perspective, she told us a story about Dr. Martin Luther King, great civil rights activist, how he would go to the Bahamas and sail into the mangroves, and in the peace and quiet of those mangrove channelways, he would think and meditate, and came up with the inspiration for some of his great speeches.
Yeah, that was a bit mind-blowing.
Yeah, that was pretty mind-blowing. Just to show that we appreciate nature and the inspiration it can give us. And great people like Martin Luther King can actually appreciate nature too.
People who inspire us, mangroves inspired them.
Yeah, that was pretty cool to think of. And then we went on into Women in Science. That featured you guys.
Yeah, it did.
It was interesting to hear everybody's stories, because we featured all the fascinating women working at the Cayman Turtle Center in all the science. We talked with Dr. Navi, the vet. You, Shauna, and you, Wendy.
We got Jen in here.
Jennifer.
Our aquarist.
Aquarist Jennifer Robinson. And it was cool to hear everybody's journey and path, all leading towards their chosen career. And hopefully it inspired some young ladies who were thinking about getting into science.
Here's hoping.
Yes, here's hoping. Because there's lots of spaces for that. And we can use it, because I think, if I remember right, the theme was with the things like the climate crisis and all that facing the planet, we need as many scientists and perspectives to approach these situations as we can get. Because, a lot of science seems to be dominated by males, but, sometimes you need another perspective, just another way to look at an issue or problem or approach it. So all hands on deck, basically.
Exactly.
And what else did we do? We talked about conservation is everybody's business. That was a topic, if I remember right. It was geared towards everybody thinking that everybody can be part of the conservation process. There's lots of things that you can do at home. People recycle and, save water, carpool, that kind of thing. And there's lots of other things that you can do that, basically to empower people that you can do any little action helps.
Yeah, we highlighted that even though conservation is important to everyone, it doesn't just affect big companies. It's not just the responsibility of big companies and organizations. Conservation is everyone's business because we're all interacting in the same environment. And we all need to do our part to help conserve that and keep that safe. Not only for us now, but also for the planet and the future people as well.
Yeah. Because if I remember one quote, might be paraphrasing a bit, but it says, we don't own the planet now, we just keep it for our kids. Yeah, because we're not going to be around all the time. So we have to take care of it so that we can pass it on. So that's why it's everybody's business. A really interesting one for me was, they were all interesting, but this was particularly interesting, the good old days at Cayman Islands Center. We did some interviews, at least Wendy did some interviews of some of our long-standing employees, people that have been at the Cayman Islands Center for over 20 years.
Yeah, that was a real informative episode that we had, speaking to
people like Joe Parsons.
Joe Parsons was one of our best as well. The story to going to Ascension Island, that was quite interesting as well. The long journey that was from going to Cape Canaveral over to what island was it again? Antigua. I was going to say Aruba, Antigua. That's it. And then from there, then they took the freight liner over to Ascension Island, which was basically an empty research station. Very interesting episode. A lot of information too about Hurricane Michelle. That was quite an impact on the center as well. Yeah.
We learned a lot about it. They were pretty innovative for that time, because you're talking about the late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah, we did Mariculture Limited when they were located in
Salt Creek.
Yeah.
I'm just at a loss today.
It was great history. Good history, but realize how far we've come from to now. Then we did World Wildlife Day, and we had our guest, Miss Jane Hawkinson. Right?
Jane had a lot of cool facts on that day as well too.
Yeah, well, I think on World Wildlife Day was
definitely one of the favorite episodes of the season.
Yeah, they discussed technology and wildlife conservation, and she talked about some of the cool stuff that DOE is doing.
Like the cameras on the boobies, the two different boobies and their feeding patterns. They were comparing the two and the angles that they dive in at. That was a very informative episode.
Oh, yeah.
The guys at DOE are doing a lot of things behind the scene and great efforts that we don't know about. So it's really great to have her in and share with the public. And we learned a lot of new things. So I hope the public was as ecstatic and interested as we were.
Yeah, but the cool thing was that you read about all these technologies that they use in
scientific journals
around the world, but they're doing it right here. The deep sea cameras picking up different species of sharks that we didn't know existed here in Cayman. The booby one was cool because boobies with little cameras on the backs, diving and figuring out how deep they dive, how long they stay. That was very interesting. And that information, of course, helps us make better management decisions about how we take care of our environmental heritage, protected species. Then the next episode was Iron Men and Wooden Ships, Part 2. So last season, in the first season, we talked about firemen and wooden ships, and that actually got some good reviews because I had actually had people, at least I can remember on 3 different occasions that people came up to me and said that they really enjoyed listening to that episode. So thanks you guys for listening out there.
Yes.
Because when we talk into these mics, sometimes we're not sure who's listening. But
No, it is quite true.
It was good to know. But we're working on a part 2, a continuation from where we left off, and hopefully by the end of April we should be able to launch that one.
Mm-hmm.
That was an interesting episode because, well, I don't know. I'm trying to remember a highlight that really stuck out for me.
Well, it's basically talking about us starting our newest act talk. And Iron Men and Wooden Ships Part 1 is about the history of turtling and what these guys had to go through back when they turtled off the Mosquito Keys. And the upcoming Part 2 really gets into the maritime culture of the shipping industry that Caymanians got into after World War II. So we basically take it on from World War II, where the advent of turtling kind of died down, and how those guys continued to carry the economy for a few more decades before the financial industry actually really took off. So there's a lot of interesting facts. We call it the Southwell years. I think we went over, the origin of him, and also a few facts about why Caymanian seamen became so successful, of how they were quite preferred to be recruited out of men globally, and not even just regionally. And we talked about reasons with that. So we didn't want to give away too much, so we can be booked to come in and talk, as you've talked on previous episodes. Just a little plug, we do come in to give our talks, corporate, anything really we'll show up to for free lunch and learns. So that's our newest one, as Geddes said. And that will be rolling out quite soon. So that was a really good episode, to get the public excited and to get us excited as well about the launch.
Yeah. Then we went on to research at Cayman Turtle Center. Shauna conducted an interview with our Chief Research and Conservation Officer, Dr. Walter Mustin, who's actually our boss, along with Dr. Navi again. And they talked about some of the research that's going on at Turtle Center. That was something interesting too, because I learned some stuff that I didn't know was going on either.
Yeah, the learning about the nutritional studies a bit more in depth was really interesting, and how they formulated that feed to replicate what the green turtles needed in terms of nutrition. And then also learning about specifically that study that we're collaborating with an organization in Australia with, to try to age some turtles.
Yeah.
Like,
with senescence. I'm not going to try to pronounce it.
So we took some skin biopsies from a few of our older turtles, and we're hoping to see if we can age them. Mm-hmm. And also seeing if there's a way to age turtles in the wild, which would help field conservation massively.
Yes. Really cool to find out. Pick up a turtle, how old it is, then you have an idea if it's breeding, the population is actually thriving based on the age groups and that kind of thing. Yeah, that's important to know.
Because like we were discussing, a turtle can come up and lay eggs, but there's no way to visually tell how old she is. I mean, you can estimate based on size, because we're used to looking at turtles of different ages, but there are different factors in the wild than there are keeping the turtles at our center. Yeah. So that'll make it a lot easier for field researchers to study nesting behavior of wild sea turtles.
Yes, very important. And Little Caymans made that big contribution to the conservation of sea turtles globally.
Mm-hmm.
And our second to last episode, which was last week Saturday, was invasive species. And our guest was A.J. McGovern from the National Trust. And that was a different perspective, because we didn't just talk about invasive species in terms of, the species like iguanas and that kind of thing, but we also talked about the human impact, the sociological impact of invasive species. And also noting that some species are invasive, but we don't even consider them invasive, like mango trees.
Which everyone here loves. Yeah. We love mango season here.
Those are good invasives, in my opinion. Yeah, but that was a very interesting perspective because he talked about the impact that those species have on us as a culture and as a people.
And as an island population, just the effect of having such a niche pool of biodiversity here and just the massive effect that invasive species can have on those animals and plants.
Yeah, because unlike the mainland, they can't just come back from somewhere else and populate. We're stuck here in the middle of the ocean. If they're gone, they're gone. You know, and the world is poor for it. You know, if only that.
Like if we give an example, something like the blue iguana, which is only found on Grand Cayman. Not even the other two islands.
Yes.
Only Grand Cayman.
Yeah, and if I remember right, the point he made is that these blue iguanas, even though we brought them back from the brink, they still face the same issues that they did that made them endangered in the first place.
Exactly.
Which is invasive species, cats and dogs, you know, wiping them out. Habitat loss, habitat is another big issue, of course. They still face the thing with cats and dogs. And then I think we had a good discussion about cats.
We did have a good discussion about cats.
And I remember him talking about the 3 categories of cats, which I did not know. I did not know there was a 3rd category. So we had your basic house cats, stray cats, which tend to hang around close to human habitation. And then we actually have feral cats, which are wild cats that have nothing to do with humans. I used to think that stray cats and feral cats were kind of the same thing.
No.
But it's actually, so we actually have a population of wild cats out there that are in the wild.
And also when he said cats were specifically hunting hatchling iguanas.
Oh, yes.
Which means potentially they're learning and sharing that information amongst each other, because it's one thing if it's a one-off on a camera trap that a cat's hunting an iguana. But when you have numerous of them around the same area, that shows a learned behavior and a pattern.
Yeah.
Which is scary.
Yes. So the iguanas are still having to deal with the same issues. And then that leads us to today, which is today's episode, which is, well, we're gonna probably take a break right now, because when we come back, our main episode is talking about Earth Month, because next month, the month of April, is Earth Month here in the Cayman Islands. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about Earth Month and all the things that we have planned to celebrate this special occasion in our annual calendar. So, you've been listening to The Green Scene here on Bobo 89.1 FM, and we'll be taking a commercial break. We'll be right back.
Looking for something fun and different to do with the family? Join us at the Cayman Turtle Center for Grill and Chill Saturdays. Every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., enjoy a poolside barbecue, buckets of beer and daiquiri specials, and a live DJ. It's Grill and Chill Saturdays at Cayman Turtle Center.
Welcome to Cayman Turtle Center.
A day of fun and adventure awaits at Cayman Turtle Center Island Wildlife Encounter. Swim and snorkel alongside sea turtles and other marine life. Meet tropical birds in the aviary, ride our turtle twister water slide, or simply relax by the lagoon. Plan your adventure today.
Visit us online at www.turtle.ky.
Did you know that turtles play an important role in ocean ecosystems? Turtles maintain healthy seagrass beds and coral reefs, providing key habitat for other marine life and helping to balance marine food webs and nutrient cycling. Learn more about our turtle friends at the Cayman Turtle Center.
Hello, my name is Coco. I'm a Cayman parrot at the Cayman Turtle Center. I was rescued and love my home here. Did you know our human friends at the center breed and raise Cayman parrots, the national bird of the Cayman Islands, then release them to live in the wild? Come visit me and my bird friends at Cayman Turtle Center.
Green sea turtle nesting season's approaching. Here's a few tips to keeping our friends safe. Turn off, redirect, or shield any lights that can be seen from the beach. Remove obstacles and litter from the beach. No bonfires on the beach, and remain quiet and distant if you see a nesting turtle. This message from the Cayman Turtle Center.
Hello and welcome back to The Green Scene. My name is Geddes Hislop from the Cayman Turtle Conservation Education Center. I'm here in studio with our education programs officers, Wendy Dandy and Shauna McGill. And this is our final episode of the second season of The Green Scene. And if you're just tuning in, we just did a summary of our previous episodes that we did for the season. But this episode, we are talking about the main topic of our program, which is Earth Day, or Earth Month, as we celebrate it here in the Cayman Islands. So Earth Month this year is celebrating the theme Planet versus Plastics. And just to give you a little bit of background on Earth Month or Earth Day, we went to the Earth Day website. And I'm just going to read out a few facts and figures off of there. So Earth Day was first founded and proclaimed in 1970. So they're celebrating 54 years of Earth Day. It was first proposed by an American peace activist named John McConnell. And he brought it up at a UNESCO conference in San Francisco in March 1970. And they loved the idea. So later on, the United Nations officially sanctioned it that same month in 1970. But the first celebration of the actual Earth Day was in the US a month later in April of 1970. So 54 years of acknowledging our planet, our home, the place where we live on, where there's no planet B. Okay. The theme this year is Planet versus Plastics. For Earth Day 2024 on April 22nd, earthday.org is unwavering in their commitment to end plastics for the sake of the human and planetary health. And what they're proposing is to have a 60% reduction in production of all plastics by 2040. All right. Sean, you were telling me earlier that there's a statistic that you read about plastic production or something like that.
Yeah, there's a few. So according to the United Nations, about 400 million tons of plastic waste are created by humans every year, which that's a big amount.
400 million.
400 million tons. And then also the OECD, which is the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, has actually said that global plastic use is expected to triple by 2060. Triple. Okay. So get even bigger. So we're already seeing the impact that plastics are having negatively on our environment, on us as humans, on other animals, the ocean. But we're expecting it to get worse.
Yeah.
And we really need to do something about it.
And to follow up on Shauna's stats about their predictions for 2050, it's also predicted that there will be more plastic in the oceans than there are fish by weight. Mm-hmm. And, microplastics are different forms are present in almost all water systems in the world, be they streams, rivers, or lakes, or oceans. There are more microplastics in the ocean than there are stars in the Milky Way.
Oh, that's kind of scary.
Yeah. It is a hard topic to talk about, and the whole episode won't be doom and gloom, but we do have to set a tone of how serious the situation is, and it can't be ignored and swept under the rug.
Along with the rest of the plastics.
Yeah, so us as humans, for the longest time, we're putting this plastic in the environment for the most part, and we thought it broke down, and we weren't exactly wrong. It did break down, just not to nothing like we expected, and it does break down into these plastic particles that Wendy were talking about, which we refer to as microplastics. And microplastics are pieces that are less than 5 millimeters or 0.2 inches in diameter. So they're really, really tiny, and they can work their way into the air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat.
Bloodstream.
It's quite scary.
So that being said, it's very likely that everybody listening to this program has consumed plastics at some point.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's not good. I hate to think of this plastics.
I believe, Shauna, we were saying off air that it's in tofu, something like that. You were
saying? So there was
even the vegans. I'm sorry, we were speaking about that off air, and that stuck in my mind. Yeah.
Yeah. So we knew plastics were finding its way into the food chain. We were finding it in fish that people were buying. So there was a big study, and forgive me, I don't know the actual organization that did the study. I just read it online, that looked at a few different food sources for humans. So it did look at fish, it did look at beef, pork, I believe, and it also looked at soy-based products like tofu. And plastic was found in every single one of them, including tofu.
Right.
So not even something that's technically ingesting another thing, which is where we thought it worked its way up the food chain.
So it's in the plants. So the
Yeah.
plants- that's just I don't know. I don't have a word for that. That's
Or it somehow works its way into the production
somehow-
process.
Somehow. So plastics are everywhere. And of course, having plastics in our system is definitely a health risk, because it gets to the point. We know from experience that plastics show up in sea turtles. And in some cases it impacts them, impacts their digestive system, and they starve to death because they feel like they're full, or you just simply get a blockage so they can't digest or move anything.
Or it can even cause perforations as well in
Yeah.
the digestive system.
Yeah, and that's getting into humans. That's a serious health risk.
Yeah, many animals at the base of the food chain, eat microplastics, so it just travels.
Oh
on the way
yeah,
up.
because I think I read a statistic or the fact that they found microplastics in crustaceans, amphipods at the bottom of the Mariana Trench.
Yes.
Yeah,
Deepest point on the planet.
I think there was a plastic bag found down there. Yeah.
Yep, all the way up to the Himalayan mountains.
Oh my God.
There is from failed missions. That's quite a issue now with hikers, people that that's their bucket list to get to the top of Mount Everest. Mount Everest is littered with abandoned campsites of people who had to retreat or died, and those things can't be retrieved as well. So from the deepest trench to the highest mountain.
Oh, that's yeah. So no wonder. I guess that theme is very appropriate then.
Very.
Yeah. So looking at the website again, it said, another quote from the website: plastics pose a health risk to humanity and all living creatures, disrupting the delicate balance of life on Earth. Plastics in sea turtles and marine life, also in babies and in breast milk.
Yeah, there was also a study that found plastic in human placenta, which,
Okay.
like we said, plastics is everywhere, and the more you look into where plastics are, these microplastics are finding their way into everything. And we really need to do our part to either A, limit it, or try to stop our
cap
use
it
of it
out.
in general.
Yeah. Well, I guess we can't do much about the plastics that are out there already, but yes, like you said, we have to try and control or reduce or even stop adding to the problem while we figure a way to deal with what we have. So I also, looking at the website there, they talked about, one, acknowledging the plastics, two, noting that there's a health risk for these plastics, microplastics out there in the environment, and three is encouraging and embracing new technologies that can help us deal with those things, non-plastic technologies. Now, I know at the Turtle Center, for example, we've done our best to go plastic free as much as we can. If you do come to the Turtle Center and you see a plastic bottle lying around somewhere, they didn't buy it on site.
No.
Just so you know, because all our water now is sold in aluminum,
whichever you prefer.
aluminum containers. And we encourage people to bring their own refillable water bottles because we have water filling stations around the park. If you get in the food, the drinks that you get are in these compostable plastic cups, which they look like plastics, but they're actually, if I remember, they're made from cornstarch or something like that. So they compost, so they actually break down, not into microplastics, but they just break down into elements that can be returned to the soil and reused. Takeaway containers are not styrofoam; they're the compressed.
Yeah, they're like mulch pulp, like leftover pulp.
Is that what they call it?
Yeah, leftover pulp of stuff
pulp,
like paper, stuff like that. Yeah.
So there are technologies like
Waste
this that we can
material.
use to help reduce our dependency on plastics. And from a personal opinion, again, not all plastics are evil, because plastics definitely made a difference in our lives. But single-use plastics is a big issue.
Mm-hmm.
Once it gets out, water bottles usually big thing. People buy water. All of a sudden, water became fashionable. Everybody buys their they're not going to call any brand names, buy the special brand, and then they toss the container. And then they buy another one. And some people buy cases of them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So,
Yes, single use plastics obviously is the biggest culprit, but single use in general, which I think I'll save that for segment 3 when we start getting into decomposing rates of our everyday items.
Yeah. But like I said, not all plastics are bad because, for example, eyeglasses, it's made of plastics. Some of your drinking stuff that you keep at home, plastics, your storage containers, things like that.
Yeah.
Tupperware, some wood.
CPAP machine.
Yes.
For those with the CPAP stuff.
It's not. We're not saying that all plastics are evil, but definitely disposable plastics or disposing of plastics. That's what the problem is. Once it gets out into the environment, it's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, the downside of being on an island means we do have to import a lot of stuff in, which doesn't exactly give consumers a huge amount of choice in products. So a lot of products, because plastic does transport well, are in plastic. Yeah. So our use of plastic I would easily say be slightly elevated. And also in terms of the space of an island of having effective trash areas, also recycling areas too, makes it a lot more difficult for us.
Yeah, because there's definitely no space.
No.
Definitely no space. And out of sight, for most cases with disposal, is out of sight, out of mind.
Definitely out of sight, out of mind.
And that's why things end up in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
It's out of sight. They don't want to think about it because they can't see it. As long as they don't see it, it's not a problem until it comes back as microplastics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or even the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. I think quite a few people have heard about that. There is, how big is this? Hundreds of miles. Quite literally hundreds of miles. I'm sorry, I don't have the exact figure of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. And meaning that the animals are now colonizing that patch, which means that they're consuming the plastic waste also, missing my notes up here, consuming the plastic waste and also living in previously uninhabited areas. So this disrupts the natural marine ecosystems. So they're even taking it as home because it's a giant float in the middle of the ocean. And as we know, the ocean, basically open ocean is equivalent to a desert. So fish take that as refuge like they would with algae or seaweed floats. And it's become a whole habitat now. It's bigger than some countries. So
Wow. And Sean, you're saying that there's like 6, 7 of these big
I don't know the exact number, but there's quite a lot of garbage patches around the world just based on currents and tides forming. Now, I know it does seem all sort of doom and gloom about the plastics issue in our oceans, but the benefit is they are finding solutions. So researchers are going to these garbage patches and they're actually finding bacteria there that can break down plastics. And they're doing a lot of work and seeing if those can be cultured and used to improve this issue that we are now facing at a very large scale just for the efficiency of plastics. Yeah, so there is hope.
I do remember reading something about that. Ways of breaking down plastics, with not just into microplastics, but breaking them down to usable form or maybe even a compostable form. I don't know.
Yeah, so that is very important because I know we always like to share about recycling is an option. But if you look at the amount of plastics and trash that is actually recycled, it's not that much. So I think globally about 9% of plastics are recycled and about 50% then end up in landfills. And that's once again a statistic from the OECD. So recycling isn't just the method to solve this issue.
9%, as she said, and most of those plastics aren't biodegradable, and last hundreds of years as well. So.
Yeah, well, that's not to say that recycling isn't important.
No, recycling is important.
You got to do. You can't just sit back and do nothing. Recycling is not the only solution.
No, exactly.
It's definitely not the solution.
Yeah, reduce, reuse, recycle.
Yeah, definitely reduce. The best thing to do is just not get it out there in the first place. Sure. Okay, so yeah, we talked about some interesting stats about plastics. We introduced this topic of planet versus plastics, and yeah, like you guys said, it does seem like a lot of doom and gloom, but there are methods, there is some hope, and if one thing humans are, if it comes to survival, we'll find a way.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't want it to have to get to the point where
we have to move to the moon.
yeah, like that.
Humans are animals, and animals are resilient if you give them the time to change and to adapt. And that's exactly something we need to do right now to solve the plastic pollution issue.
Yeah, but it's still interesting what you said, Wendy, about these marine life learning to adapt to living in a basically a floating garbage patch. Life finds a way. They just replace the sargassum with a garbage patch. But yeah, it's still not good. Okay, well, I guess that's a good introduction to the topic, planet versus plastics. We've been discussing our Earth Month here on the Green Scene, talking about the theme of planet versus plastics. And we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we continue on the program on this topic. So thanks for listening. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hi, this is Geddes from the Cayman Turtle Conservation Education Center.
Hi, this is Shona from the Cayman Turtle Conservation and Education Center.
Hey, this is Wendy from the Cayman Turtle Conservation and Education Center.
We're inviting you to our new show.
Welcome to Cayman Turtle Center.
A day of fun and adventure awaits at Cayman Turtle Center Island Wildlife Encounter. Swim and snorkel alongside sea turtles and other marine life. Meet tropical birds in the aviary, ride our turtle twister water slide, or simply relax by the lagoon. Plan your adventure today.
Visit us online at www.turtle.ky.
Did you know that turtles play an important role in ocean ecosystems? Turtles maintain healthy seagrass beds and coral reefs, providing key habitat for other marine life and helping to balance marine food webs and nutrient cycling. Learn more about our turtle friends at the Cayman Turtle Center.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to the Green Scene here on Bobo 89.1 FM. My name is Geddes Hislop from the Cayman Turtle Center, and I'm joined in the studio by Ms. Wendy Dandy and Shauna McGill, our Education Programs Officers at the Cayman Turtle Center. If you're just joining us, the topic for today is Earth Month in the Cayman Islands. We've been discussing the theme Planet versus Plastics and talking about all the statistics and facts and figures about plastics out there. And we're realizing that plastics are everywhere. They're in the air we breathe, in the water we drink, in the food we eat, including the plants.
Mm-hmm.
They're in and plastics are potentially a major health issue going on out there. Microplastics, and we learned a lot of things that plastics don't break down like you think. They take forever. Things like cigarette butts can take up
quite literally forever.
Yeah, quite literally forever.
And they only break down to smaller plastics.
Yeah, that's it. They don't disappear. They just get smaller, and they're still there. And that's how they get in us, because they get so small they can get into our food, into the food system. And and Wendy had a good quote that some of these things last as long as the Roman Empire. That's a sobering statistic. And the thing is, it seems to be doom and gloom, because in a sense it is. I think I would venture to say, on a personal note, that this plastic issue is probably right up there with climate change as a major issue that we have to deal with as humanity. And it's our fault.
Mm-hmm.
So it's our responsibility to do something about it. And if we don't do something about it now, our grandkids are going to have to deal with it, because things are going to be around at least that long, if not longer. But here in the Cayman Islands, there are a lot of organizations that are working to help our conservation here in Cayman, and deal with things like the plastic issue, and at least to educate us about the things that we can do. There are, as we discussed earlier, there are solutions. Recycling is not it. Recycling is one solution. It's a multifaceted approach, but it takes it takes some commitment, and it takes some change, and it takes a little difference in the way we think and do things. But it's not impossible to do. We've done it before. We just don't want to have to get to the stage where it's no choice. We don't have any choice but to do this.
I mean, we're almost at that stage.
Yeah, it's getting there. As we said earlier, out of sight, out of mind. People don't see these things, but in some cases, like not too far away in where is it? I think it was Belize or somewhere there. You have plastics choking up some of the ports. When the tides change and the plastic, all the free flowing plastic comes in, the ports where the ships dock is just full of plastics. You can barely see the water. And that's not too far away. And in Cayman here, like you mentioned earlier, what do you call it? The COVID effect.
The COVID effect.
The COVID effect. Masks and gloves and wipes out there. Those things end up on our beaches and eventually in our waters. And the last thing a diver visiting here wants to do is see a
COVID mask on our coral reef.
Yeah, or a grouper swimming around with a COVID mask on it.
Yeah.
Something like that. So we have to be a lot more conscious of how we do things. As I think it was Wendy said earlier, that $6 you spend on something, has an impact that can cost a lot more than $6 to get rid of if you don't dispose of things properly. But as I said earlier, there are organizations that we're working with. Cayman has an Earth Day committee, which includes a lot of the familiar organizations that you might know that are working to help or conserve our natural environments and deal with issues such as plastics. Apart from the Cayman Turtle Center, members of the Cayman Earth Day Committee include the Department of Environment, the National Trust, Eco Cayman. One of our newest members is Protect Our Future and Sustainability Cayman, the Queen Elizabeth Botanic Park, and CCMI, among others. And what we're doing is we're working together to educate people, because education is one of the things that people can use to help people change their habits to more healthy, sustainable habits. And during the Earth Month, we're offering theme days, things that you can use to help develop these sustainable practices that can help our planet. So these theme days are Meatless Mondays. Doesn't necessarily have to be a Monday, but Meatless Mondays. Things you can do for go meatless
one day a week.
For one day. Think of something you can use. You can consume that day that doesn't have to be involved meat. Like I don't know.
Indian's a great choice. There's so many good curries,
right.
The vegetable curries. That's when I try to go meatless. That's usually my go-to because I'm Caribbean, so I like a good saucy seasoning.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I find Indian is a great option.
Oh, gosh. I was going to say
curry.
Chickpea curry.
I love chickpea.
How could I forget that? I thought I was going to say potato salad, but yeah, we could go a little more exciting than that.
Pastas are also a great choice. Making your own pasta sauce
pasta
as
sauce.
well.
Pasta
Greek
sauce.
food too.
Yes, definitely. And then we have Trivia Tuesdays. That's just a matter of having fun, answering questions, learning stats. It's a way to learn more about what's going on out there using trivia. So stay tuned to our social media pages for Cayman Turtle Center, the Department of Environment, all the other organizations that I named. Stay tuned to their trivia, to their social media pages for having fun, just having trivia. And I think one of them is actually planning to have a trivia night, Tuesday trivia nights, I think. So we have 4 chances to have those. Wildlife Wednesdays. That just basically means connect with nature. Go out there, have a walk on the beach. Those are the days when people used to just take a little sunset walk on the beach. Get out there in nature. As we said a lot earlier in the episode, when we were discussing some of the episodes we had discussed earlier in the season, great thinkers like Martin Luther King used to go into the mangroves, the quiet of the mangroves, to find the peace and quiet and inspiration to write his great speeches and orations. So why not? Take a walk on the beach.
Dart Park too is lovely. They have that little amphitheater type coliseum thing facing the ocean. The walks through there, they have lovely little spaces to sit. If you haven't been there, that's a good spot as well.
Right, for you guys in Georgetown.
Maybe
Barker's. Sorry, I love going to Barker's Beach. I have a portable hammock, so I'm always finding different stations, just somewhere with good tree posts, and Barker's is lovely as well. But again, whatever you bring, leave nothing but your footsteps. I love Barker's Beach, so I'm very defensive on that. Please, people, pick up your garbage. I always end up picking up garbage when I go there. Sorry, side rant, but continue.
Yeah, make it a 2-for-1. When you go and connect with nature, take something with you to maybe do a little cleanup while you're there.
Yeah, absolutely.
This pollution, these plastics are already out there, so just have a secondary part in getting rid of some of that's out there.
Oh,
I mean, it's 76 square miles, people. Come on, we can keep this under control for our own selves. They don't get it said tourists as well, but for us and, our children, national pride. Come on, we got this.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Just pick up stuff as you go. Tree planting Thursdays. So at Cayman Turtle Center, I'll read out in a little while, we plan to do some tree planting as part of Month activities, celebrations. But you don't have to wait for that. And you don't have to go buy a tree.
It doesn't need to be a tree.
It doesn't need to be a tree. Something green in the ground. You could plant your own butterfly garden. One of the things that we hope to encourage kids to do is just find a little patch of ground, put some soil, plant some wildflowers. You can pick up some wildflowers from the side of the road, Spanish needle, and they call it this, vervine. Just plant a little garden in the back. If you don't have to plant a tree, the more green we have on the planet, the better.
Grow your own vegetables, your own herbs.
To say that small food items. I mean, even if you don't have a green thumb, something like bell pepper, sweet pepper, that is the easiest stock plant to grow, and you get the best return off of it, and that also helps reduce the pressure of supermarkets and supply and demand. You have your sweet peppers there, and they taste much better. Those little small ones pack so much more flavor than those jumbo ones that we have in the supermarket.
Oh, yeah.
Plus, have you seen the price per pound on things? I'm sorry, all the rants. The price per pound on things are crazy. I love apples, and the price of apples are crazy.
Yeah. And then we have Future Fridays. Now, that's an alliteration.
Yeah,
is that the word?
I think that's the word.
But what it is just doing things that help our future, like reducing our carbon footprints. Carpooling. Take a ride to work if you can. If you're not too far away, you can hop on a bike, get some little exercise, and ride to work.
Cuts traffic.
Yeah, and cut down traffic.
Yeah, those bird scooters that I see as well.
Yeah.
Although I should take my own advice, but yeah, that's a lovely way as well. I really admire when I see people scooting across on those.
Yeah, bring your own coffee mug or refillable water bottle to work.
Or to even the coffee places you might go to before work. Most places will accept reusable coffee cups.
Yeah. If you go to pick up your takeouts, you can do like I do. Because some of these guys, when I go to Eats or any of those places, as soon as they see me coming, they start taking the stuff out of the plastic bag. Because I have my reusable bag.
There you go.
Carry your own containers or your own reusable bag to pick up your takeouts.
Always keep a set of metal cutlery in your... I have a handbag, so my handbag, so that way you're not using plastic cutlery where you go out, or even the biodegradable cutlery. It's so much better to just carry your own metal cutlery and wash it when you get the chance.
If you're going home, just refuse it or give it back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's your Future Fridays. Think of things that can help reduce your carbon footprint and your impact there. So this is our theme for Earth Day. I'll just read it once again. Meatless Mondays, Trivia Tuesdays. So check our social media pages to get some trivia, and you can get together with some friends and have a fun night. Wildlife Wednesdays. Get out there in nature and appreciate the great outdoors. tree planting Thursdays. And like they said, it doesn't have to be trees. You just plant your own vegetable garden, everything like that. I remember when I was in school, we had a project where we had to grow our own corn plant. You get a little kernel of corn, you put it in a
Corn.
yeah, you put it in a cup with some wet paper towel, and once it grows into a little bigger, you plant it in the ground, and you can bring your own ears of corn. Yeah, it was kind of cool. And future Fridays, think of ways to reduce your carbon footprint. So our episode today, guys, was all about Earth Month coming up for the month of April. Cayman Turtle Center and the Earth Day Committee and the Cayman Islands Earth Day Committee, we want you to be conscious of the issues that plastics are causing in Cayman and around the world. The situation is, well, there's no sugarcoating. The situation is dire.
Very.
Right?
Very.
You don't see it, but it's out there. And, you know, as you're driving around out there doing your Saturday shopping and so on, just be conscious of little things you can do. If you head into the supermarket, try not to use those plastic bags. Right? You know, I know some people go in there and when they collect their vegetables, they put one item in a bag.
Yeah.
You know, you can mix them up. You put them. If you have to get a plastic bag, just get one plastic bag. You can put your peppers and your chives and everything in one bag, and they'll sort it out when you get to the cashier. Just pull it out one
or
by
if
one.
you get thirsty while you're at the supermarket, instead of picking up like a bottle of water or a bottle of soda, get a can.
Yeah, just get a can. Cans are more efficiently recyclable. You know, so we need to start thinking different, make small shifts, small habits that can lead to big changes.
Yeah, I joke small habits can have an ocean of change.
Ocean of change. That's a good tsunami. That's a good flood of change. Okay, so we want to thank you for listening, guys. This is our final episode of the Green Scene. But as we head out, as usual, we want to let you know the things that are coming up here at the Cayman Turtle Center. So coming up this week and following weeks at the Cayman Turtle Center, we have shark talks and shark feedings. That's Monday to Fridays at 10:30 a.m. That's a shark talk down at the predator viewing window, and 11 a.m. shark feeding at the bridge right outside the Schooner's restaurant. Come and meet the birds at the aviary. You can make a small donation of at least $1 to our turtle conservation programs, and we reward you with having lots of fun hand feeding the birds in the aviary. You know, kids love that, adults love it, and our birds love it too. Okay. Grill and chill Saturdays, every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can dive into a poolside barbecue with a live DJ, soak up some sun, treat yourself to a daiquiri, beer bucket specials. Just pay your general admission to get access to the pool, and there's DJ tunes and delicious barbecue delights. Perfect weekend retreat. Turtle nesting season is here at the Cayman Turtle Center. Those white egg boxes are starting to pile up in the hatchery, and we expect to see our little hatchlings soon be on display sometime towards the end of April. Okay. And mark your calendars. Here's what we have planned at the Cayman Turtle Center for April Earth Month. From this weekend, from today, Saturday, March the 30th, until Monday, April 1st, all kids 12 years and under can visit the park free all Easter weekend long. So kids get in free all over this long weekend. And today, on Saturday 30th, is our Easter Celebration Family Fun Day at Cayman Turtle Center. Food and drink specials, poolside DJ, face painting, and candy when you're ready to leave. Just be there for 12 noon. 12 o'clock, we have Golden Easter Egg Hunt for special prizes. On Monday, the 22nd of April at 10 a.m., join us at the Governor's Beach, 7 Mile Beach, for the annual Earth Day Turtle Release. And for those of you at schools, I think Shauna has a special thing that goes along with that.
Yeah, so for our Earth Day turtle release, we will actually be having an Earth Day artwork competition for local school students or just local school-age children. So we ask kids to help us advocate for the protection of green sea turtles and also ocean conservation as well through their artistic expression. So this is when we're asking kids aged between 5 and 16 years old to submit a piece of artwork. and the entry to the competition is completely free. If you want more information, you can reach out to info@turtle.ky. But we will be having 4 winners. So there will be 2 winners picked by judges' choice. And we're actually really lucky to have people from the National Gallery and also Plastic Free Cayman coming on board to help us be judges for this artwork competition. So there will be 1 winner from the primary school age group. So that will be children aged 5 to 11 years old. And then we'll also have 1 winner from the high school age group. So that'll be 12 to 16. And each of those winners will be invited to help us escort one of our turtles that we're releasing at our Earth Day turtle release. I will also quickly note that we will also be having a social media, so audience choice voting as well, and 2 winners will be selected for that as well per age group, and they'll get a special prize as well.
Oh, cool. So check out the Cayman Turtle Center's social media page, social media platforms for more information on that. Or like you said, you can email us info@turtle.ky. On the Tuesday the 23rd of April, the day after the turtle release, join us online in the morning for a Facebook Live Earth Day mangrove tree planting event. So we're going to be planting mangroves, and you can join us on Facebook and to learn more about mangroves and mangrove planting. Okay. On Saturday 27th of April, it's the Chamber of Commerce's annual Earth Day island-wide beach cleanup. And Cayman Turtle Center is a proud sponsor. So join us for this community celebration of Earth Day in the Cayman Islands on the 27th of April. Get out there and help us clean up. And also on Saturday 27th, after the cleanup, join us at the Cayman Turtle Center for our Party for the Planet Family Fun Day. So right after you finish cleaning up, you can pop over to the Cayman Turtle Center and celebrate. Our Party for the Planet Fun Day includes scavenger hunts, a DJ by the pool, food and drink specials, and anyone wearing their Chamber Beach Cleanup t-shirt will get a discount on their entry to the park for that day. So get out there and clean and get rewarded. Come and celebrate with us.
Party for the planet.
Party for the planet. Yeah. So for more information on these and other things happening at the Cayman Turtle Center, visit our website www.turtle.ky or visit our Cayman Turtle Center social media platforms on Facebook and Instagram. You can also contact us at info, that's INFO, @turtle.ky for any questions or comments on the show. So thank you all for joining us for the 2nd season of The Green Scene, hosted by the Cayman Turtle Conservation Education Center. If you'd like to hear today's episode again, or any of the other Green Scene episodes that you may have missed, you can find them on our Cayman Turtle Center's YouTube channel. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you again in Season 3.